Hey there, fellow campers, and welcome to Camping 101 with GallivantingSA and our discussion on campsite etiquette. Etiquette is one of those things where there is no written rules. You're not going to find these on the resort's website. They're things you're supposed to somehow learn by osmosis. And a lot of existing campers, long-time campers, sometimes forget these etiquette rules. So let's chat about them today. So just like any complex living, there are rules in place just to make the living together of everybody much more harmonious. Now, I am in a working campsite at the moment, so please excuse any noises of birds or generators or whatnot, but it is a campsite. So I'm going to start with bathroom etiquette. And that's because if you ask a camper what's the most important thing to them when booking a campsite, 99% of the time, the answer is clean ablutions. So what can you do to help there be clean ablutions? We as the campers, we are the ones using the ablutions. No resort can have a concierge service where there is somebody looking after every single bathroom every single time somebody goes in and out of the loo or in and out of the shower. So it is up to us to help keep the bathrooms nice and clean. What does that mean? Well, that means number one, after you've taken a shower, grab that mop that's always in the corner and just mop up any excess water. You don't have to get out a sterilizer and sanitize the whole place and wash down the walls. You're just trying to mop up any excess water. You don't want to walk into a shower where the water on the floor is cold and dirty and is a slippery hazard. So just get that mop and give it a bit of a clean. Then there's the basin. There's really no need to leave a glob of toothpaste or a whole lot of makeup scattered all around the basin. Just grab a little bit of loo roll, damp it down, and give the basin a wipe. Then it's nice and clean for the next person. And exactly the same with the toilet bowl. Just make sure that the toilet bowl is nice and clean, that there's no paper lying on the floor, that the toilet roll is where it's supposed to be. Basically, leave the toilet, the basin, and the shower in exactly the condition that you would like to find it. And on the subject of keeping things clean, the scullery. Leave the scullery and the dishwashing area nice and clean when you leave. That means no soap suds in the bottom and not yesterday's mashed up spaghetti all in the drain. Just keep it nice and clean, wipe it down. Again, get rid of any excess water. And another point on that. Washing dishes is in the scullery and there's a certain type of sink for that. Laundry gets done in a different type of a tub and there's usually a sign that says laundry tubs. Laundry gets done in laundry tubs. Dishwashing gets done in dishwashing tubs. Please don't mix up the two. Next on the list is campsite boundaries. Basically, never walk through anybody else's campsite. Just stick to the paths and the roadways and you'll be absolutely fine. Just imagine that there is a 6-foot electrified fence around each person's campsite, including yours. That means you shouldn't be straying outside of your campsite and your neighbors shouldn't be straying inside of your campsite. And even if you're just going to the bathroom, don't take the shortcut through somebody else's site. It's just rude. Just stick to the road or the pathways and give people their space. And that space includes things like where you park your trailer or your car. Don't park it on somebody else's space and crowd them. If you haven't got space for your trailer or your car, your second tow vehicle, go to reception and find out where there is a place where you can leave it. But don't crowd out your neighbor with your stuff. So next is lighting. And we were very guilty of this. We had very, very bright lights. They were fabulous for us, but they were probably very intrusive for other people. To the extent that in one campsite, our neighbors dubbed us the lighthouse. And Alan used to say that the International Space Station would phone down and say, "Hi, Sandy, I can see where you're camping." So we now don't have those lights anymore. We now have a strip of red lights. It's a little bit dark for us, but in reality, we don't have any bugs and we are not in any way affecting our neighbors. You don't need to leave your porch light on at night. When you go to bed, switch all your lights off because your light might be shining directly into the window of the guy next to you and he's trying to sleep. So just switch all your lights off and make sure that your lights are not overly bright and intrusive on other campers. So now the next thing I want to talk about is something that I think people think that they're doing you a favor. And that's when they dig a trench for water runoff. And when they leave, they don't fill their trench in. They seem to somehow think that you could use that trench, but you might have a completely different setup. You might not even need a trench. Your vehicle might be much bigger, and where the trench is where you want to put your wheels. Leaving the trench for the next person is actually not considerate or helpful at all. So before you leave, if you've dug a trench, just fill it in, compact it nicely, because again, that person, the next person might be putting their wheels on there, and it's just going to sink into any soft sand. So just fill the trench in and leave the campsite as good or better than you found it, and certainly in a condition that you would like to find it. Okay, so the next biggie has to be noise. Now, noise is generally covered in the written rules of any campsite. And from everything that I've seen and all the places we've been, 10 o'clock is generally the cutoff. The campsites expect everybody to be quiet at 10 o'clock. If you're on a holiday resort and you're at the beach and it's New Year, well, it's likely that it's not going to get quiet at 10 o'clock. And if you're in a nice seaside resort with lots of children running around and having fun, chances are it's not going to be quiet at 2 o'clock in the afternoon if you want an afternoon sleep either. But if you are in one of those quieter bushveld sites, then be considerate of the person who maybe wants to have an afternoon sleep, or the fact that you are in the bush and making a lot of noise is just not appropriate. Now, it's not just the sound of your music. It's not just the sound of your TV. It's actually when a group of people get together, just the volume of their voices. So just think about where you are and your surroundings and your neighbors, and just keep the noise levels appropriate. Okay, and in relation to noise, a handy hint is to get yourself some headphones. We have Bluetooth headphones, jacked headphones for our laptops, and those little earpiece headphones for when we're traveling and you've just got your phone and you maybe want to take a call or listen to some music. So the great thing about headphones is that only you are hearing what you're listening to. And you can turn that volume way up if that's what you want, which is really great if you're hard of hearing. Or, like me, I like it so soft, it's almost on zero, and it's just background music. So you can adjust the level to anything you want, and it doesn't affect anybody around you. Okay, so let's talk about fire safety for a moment. There will be a lot of written rules about whether or not you can collect firewood from the campsite and that you must douse your campfire before you go to bed. But there are other things to do to protect yourself and your neighbors. So for example, your gas bottle. Make sure that your gas bottle is secure, that it's closed off, that it's open, that all the connections are good. Make sure that your batteries are all in good condition, that they're not bulging, that they're not smelling, that they're not getting warm as you use them. Because if your vehicle catches on fire, you'll be gone first, but then it could spread to other people. So for your own protection and the people around you, just make sure that everything to do with fire and gas and anything that's flammable is well protected and in good order in your campsite. But now, talking about that, your campfire, your lovely braai fire, it's not a trash can. It's a braai fire. So you don't want to be throwing your vegetable peelings, your paper towel, your bottles, your glasses, your whatever. You don't want to be throwing your trash in there, because you may leave and the next person comes along and they now have to sift through all that before they can make their fire and make their meal. So please keep your braais nice and clean and used for what they're for, which is braaiing meat. Okay, another one is most rules of campsites will say things like don't feed the wildlife, don't feed the birds, don't feed the monkeys. But what they very often don't talk about is the feral cats that exist in most campsites. So just find out from reception whether or not it's okay to feed those feral cats. They may or may not be encouraging them. They may be encouraging them so that they keep down the numbers of the rats and the snakes and the mice, or they may be actively trying to discourage them because of them breeding with the African wildcat. So just find out whether or not you are able to feed those feral cats. Okay, and now let's talk about children. So parents, please keep an eye on your children, where they are and what they're doing, that they're not in the ablution, pouring out the water from the geyser and having fun, because the next camper who comes along is not going to be able to have a hot shower. We were in Okukuyu once, in the days when we had our converted Unimog, and I happened to be coming back from the waterhole, and I heard this mom say to her kids, go and play under the big green truck. Hey guys, come on, that's not on. Your kids should be wherever you are. You should be keeping an eye on your kids. There are snakes, scorpions, lots of bad things. There are even bad people. So know where your kids are and make sure they are safe and within your environment, and realize that their shrieks of laughter, which may be music to your ears, may be not fabulous for everybody else's campsite. Okay, so we're nearly at the end. This one's for the smokers. Please, guys, just be careful where you leave your cigarette butts. It's not part of the environment. And if you do vape, a lot of vape smoke is a very, very sickly sweet smell that not everybody appreciates. So if you are vaping, just consider where your neighbors are, where their braai is, where they're sitting and carrying with their friends, and avoid your vape smoke or your cigarette smoke going over them. So when you're driving around the campsite, just keep your speed as low as possible. There will be children playing, there will be people on e-bikes, normal bicycles, walking, hiking, there will be old folks taking a stroll. They may not hear you, they may not see you, so just keep the speed down. And you also want to keep the dust down in any campsite. And if you're on a bike, whether you be an adult or a littlie, just make sure that you're aware of your surroundings and don't actually put yourself in danger. Okay, so the basic golden rule is be kind, be courteous, be considerate, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, and leave the facilities, the amenities in your campsite in as good a condition as you found it, or better yet, as you would like to find it. If you have other tips on campsite etiquette that I haven't included, please write them in the comments below and we'll put out another video talking about those. Thank you very much for your time. Be well, be safe, and I hope to catch you in a campsite sometime.